Tiger fans, we all love a draft bolter, and this year we've got one that's just sprung up out of the box, out of nowhere, and he is the absolute talk of the town at the moment, Sullivan Robey from the Eastern Rangers. It's been a quite fascinating last 2 weeks watching his football and where it's heading towards and maybe what the projections could be with his draft range. I dare say, I'm no draft guru, but in my opinion, he is really heading towards top 15 territory very quickly if what we're about to talk about can keep happening. Now, we are going to roll some highlights over the top. Massive thanks to Footy Stuff and their YouTube page, getting some good highlights of Sullivan Robey in action. Make sure, like always, hit that like and subscribe button. We're trying to head towards 3,700 subscribers, so make sure you get behind the channel as we keep talking about draft stuff on the lead-in to the national draft. But Sullivan Robey, look, he's 192 centimetres, and he had been typically playing as a forward for Eastern Rangers. Now, keep in mind, he did start off at the Stingrays, I think it was, and then got delisted. And then he went back and was playing some local football at Roeville in the Eastern Football League for the 19.5 side. Had some good games at 19.5 level, which then transferred, or then meant, he was able to get a senior call up, and he played five senior games and shot lights out, and that caught the attention of some AFL clubs, and then Eastern Rangers jump on board, get him into their program. He debuted for the Rangers in round 12, and he's booted goals in a lot of games, 2 goals from 4 or 5 appearances, averaging 14.4 disposals and taking 6.6 marks per game. This was as of about the end of August, towards the end of August. Now, obviously, we all know we don't need a key forward at this moment in time. We're pretty flush for them at the moment. But strengths that were listed for him were clean hands, leading patterns, power, size, and scoreboard impact. What's changed, though, since coming into the Eastern Rangers program, in the last couple of weeks, he's actually been deployed into the midfield. So you've got a 192 centimetre midfielder running around. Now, before we go any further talking about his midfield stuff, I think it's important to note that he's actually on the younger side of things in terms of the age draft year. So he's born on the 4th of October, so very, very much on the younger side. So this isn't a case of an older guy coming into the coach league and just dominating like a big man would, and it might not transfer. This is a young kid who's just brutal and bullying everyone and still has growth and development to go. And sometimes these kids do come on a little bit later and they get re-picked up by other coach league teams, and then they develop and they get drafted. But yeah, in the last couple of games, the wildcard final for Eastern Rangers, he was deployed as a midfielder. And it was after this game that I declared on Hoops and Football's podcast that he will be an absolute smoky for a draft bolter and someone we should consider. He had 40 disposals, 9 marks, 6 clearances, 7 inside 50s, and 3 goals. That is a monster game. I don't care who you are, at whatever level you're playing, that is a big game, let alone at coach level. Then last week, there was the qualifying final for Eastern. He started off a little bit slower, worked his way into the game and finished up with 26 disposals, 2 goals, 5 marks, 4 tackles. He has some really, really good athletic traits. As you can see from the footage, he's actually got some good speed, so it's not like he's lumbering. So he ticks that box. He's got good hands. He's a really strong mark. He's got I feel like he's sort of got that handball awareness that what Sam Lawler and what Josh Smiley has, what we've seen him in the VFL. Just the awareness to get the long handballs out or the releasing handballs out to players. But it's then a pretty neat kick of the ball himself too. And he's just, I don't know, he just seems to get around from contest to contest comfortably. And the ball just seems to find him all the time since he's been in the midfield. So I don't know if Eastern were hiding him. I don't think clubs do that really. I think they've just rolled the dice and chucked him in the midfield, and it's paid off massively. Maybe he played that role when he was playing at Roeville in the seniors or the juniors or the under-19s. I'm not too sure, but he has been a revelation, and I dare say there'll be a lot of clubs climbing over each other to try and have access to him. Now, this is where the value of split picks comes into play. We've talked about this before, and I know there's a lot of people out there who are against the idea of splitting a pick 3 and 4, for example, like one of those. And traditionally, you're probably right. Typically, most drafts tend to have like a super powerful top 7 or 8 picks, and then it kind of starts to peter out from there. I think what we've found though, and I might be wrong, I'm not a draft expert, this is just my observation, so please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure there'll be other views on this as well. But it feels like in the last couple of months in particular, that there's been a lot of plays developing late, which has sort of turned it into a more even draft. Like there's no Harley Reid, Sam Lawler type shit, gotta have him. For pick number 1, it still feels like it's up in the air. And I think there's now become a bit more evenness throughout that, 5 to 15 range where you've got Cummings, you've got Marsh, you've got Hibbins-Hargreaves, now you've got Roby, Farrow. There's plenty of players still in the mix that could still be there at a pick in the 10 to the 15s if we were to split pick 4, for example, assuming that West Coast get 2. So this is where there's value to be had. So instead of adding just 2 youngsters, we could potentially be adding 3 youngsters, but not losing out on... It's not dropping off a cliff in terms of the talent available. So you still get your pick 3, your cream of the crop type player, and then 2 really good kids in that 10 to 15 range. Now, I know people will say, yeah, but there's all the academy bids and stuff like that. Look, in my view, and this might be wrong, I find all of that part completely irrelevant. Whenever I look at drafting and talk about drafting, all I care about is the open draft, because it's all still the same. Whether there's an academy kid that comes in before it or not, the next open player that you get access to is still the same whether they were at pick 4 or whether they're at pick 5 and you've bid on someone in between. Like, I feel like it doesn't make much difference, only because 99.9% of the time, any of the bids made for these first round kids, the team who they're linked to match. So you still get the same access really to the open draft candidates. But anyway, Sullivan Robey, he's the man of the hour. Make sure you keep watching his final series for Eastern Rangers. He's an absolute beast, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops. I know he's got a state combine invite. I don't know if the invite status can change at this point in time. If it can, I would make a strong guess that he will be at the national combine at some stage, if this keeps tracking how it is. So this is the beauty about drafts and late boulders. You just never know what's going to happen. But you've all just seen his highlights. Big shout out to Footy Stuff, who were capturing some highlights of Sullivan Robey. Make sure you go to their page as well, because they've got the quarterfinal highlights as well, which was pretty good too. But let us know what you think in the comments below. Sullivan Robey, is he someone now on your radar? Should we have this discussion and see if we should, think about landing him? Could he be a good addition to the midfield? Can go forward as well, of course. Or do we have players that are already similar? I'm not so sure. I think he's a little bit different, to be honest. But yeah, keen to hear all of your thoughts on it. But Sullivan Robey, watch this space. He is a draft bolter, and it's going to be plenty of fun watching him in the last couple of games.